You know, I was thinking about why so many in the radical left participate in speedrunning. The reason is the left's lack of work ethic. Go fast rather than do it right. And in a Petersonian sense, to elevate alternative sexual archetypes in the marketplace. Fastest Mario. Obviously, there are exceptions to this, as some people more in the center or right also speedrun. However, they're more than sufficient to prove the rule, rather than contrast it. Consider how woke GDQ has been, almost since the very beginning. Your eyes will start to open. Returning to the topic of the work ethic. A speedrunner may well spend hours a day at their craft. This is ultimately a meaningless exercise, since they will ultimately accomplish exactly that which is done in less collective time by a casual player. This is thus a waste of effort on the behalf of the speedrunner. Put more simply, they're spending their work effort on something that someone else has already done, and done in a way deemed correct by the creator of the artwork. So why do they do this? The answer is quite obvious if you think about it. The goal is the illusion of speed, and the desire to promote radical leftist, borderline communist ideals of how easy work is. Everyone always says that speedruns look easy. That is part of the aesthetic. Think about the phrase fully automated luxury communism in the context of speedrunning, and I strongly suspect that things will start to click in your mind. What happens to the individual in this? Individual accomplishment in speedrunning is simply waiting for another person to steal your techniques in order to defeat you. Whereas something like intellectual property or patent in this necessarily communitarian process. Now, as to the sexual archetype model and speedrunning generally. If you have any passing familiarity with Jordan Peterson's broader oeuvre and of Jungian psychology, you likely already know where I'm going with this. However, I will say more for the uninitiated. Keep this passage from Maps of Meaning in mind. The archetypal son continually reconstructs defined territory as a consequence of the assimilation of the unknown, as a consequence of incestuous, that is, sexual, read creative, union with the Great Mother. In other words, there's a connection between sexuality and creativity that we see throughout time, as Peterson points out with Tiamat and other examples. In the sexual marketplace, which archetypes are simultaneously deemed the most creative and valued the highest? The answer is obviously entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and others. Given that we evolved, and each thing we do must have an evolutionary purpose or cause, what archetype is the speedrunner engaged in, who's accomplishing nothing new? They're aiming to make a new sexual archetype, based upon speed rather than doing things right, and refuse ownership of what few innovations they can provide to their own scene, denying creativity within their own sexual archetype. This is necessarily leftist. The obvious protest to this would be the glitchless 100% run, which in many ways does aim to play the game as intended, but seems to simply add the element of speed to the equation. This objection is ultimately meaningless when one considers how long a game is intended to be played and net by the creators, even when under 100% conditions. There's still time and effort wasted for no reasons other than the ones I proposed above. By now, I'm sure that I've bothered a number of you and rustled quite a few of your feathers. I'm not saying that speedrunning is bad, rather that, thinking about the topic philosophically, there are dangerous elements within it. That's all.
consider the lobster.